Equine conformation evaluates the degree of correctness of a horse's bone structure, musculature, and its body proportions in relation to each other. Undesirable conformation can limit the ability to perform a specific task. Although there are several universal faults, a horse's conformation is usually judged by what its intended use may be. Thus, form to function is one of the first set of traits considered in judging conformation. A horse with poor form for a Grand Prix show jumper could have excellent conformation for a world champion cutting horse, or to be a champion draft horse. Every horse has good and bad points of its conformation, and many horses excel even with conformation faults. Conformation of the head and neck. The standard of the ideal head varies dramatically from breed to breed based on a mixture of the role the horse is bred for and what breeders, owners and enthusiasts find appealing. Breed standards frequently cite large eyes, a broad forehead and a dry head-to-neck connection as important to correctness about the head. Traditionally, the length of head as measured from poll to upper lip should be 2/3 the length of the neck top line. Presumably, the construction of the horse's head influences its breathing, though there are few studies to support this. Historically, a width of 4 fingers or 7.2 centimeters was associated with an unrestricted airflow and greater endurance. However, a study in 2000 which compared the intermandibular width to size ratio of thoroughbreds with the racing success showed this to be untrue. The relationship between head conformation and performance are not well understood, and an appealing head may be more a matter of marketability than performance. Among mammals, morphology of the head often plays a role in temperature regulation. Many ungulates have a specialized network of blood vessels called the carotid rete, which keeps the brain cool while the body temperature rises during exercise. Horses lack a carotid rete and instead use the sinuses to cool blood around the brain. These factors suggest that the conformation of a horse's head influences its ability to regulate temperature. Muzzle. A horse with a dished face. A dished head has a muzzle with a concave profile on top, often further emphasized by a slight bulging of forehead. Dished heads are associated with Arabians and Arabian-influenced breeds, which excel at endurance riding and were originally bred in the arid Arabian desert. There are several theories regarding the adaptive role of the dished head. It may be an adaptation to reduce airflow resistance and increase aerobic endurance. Dished head is not considered a deformity. A Roman nose is a muzzle with a convex profile. Convex heads are associated with draft horses, baroque horse breeds, and horses from cold regions. This trait likely plays a role in warming air as it is inhaled, but may also influence aerobic capacity. Roman nose is not considered a deformity. A horse with small nostrils or small nares can be found in any breed and often accompanies a narrow jaw and muzzle. Small nostrils limit the horse's ability to breathe hard while exerting itself. This especially affects horses in high-speed activities or those that need to sustain effort over long duration. Horses with small nostrils are therefore best used for pleasure riding and non-speed sports. Eyes. A horse with pig eye has unusually small eyes. This is primarily an aesthetic issue, but claimed by some to be linked to stubbornness or nervousness, and thought to decrease the horse's visual field. Jaw size. The lower jaw should be clearly defined. The space between the two sides of the jawbone should be wide, with room for the larynx and muscle attachments. The width should be 7.2 centimeters, about the width of a fist. The jaw is called narrow if the width is less than 7.2 centimeters. The jaw is called large if it is greater than 7.2 centimeters. A large jaw gives head a false appearance of being short and adds weight to the head. Too large of a jaw can cause a reduction to the horse's ability to flex at the poll to bring his head and neck into proper position for collection, and to help balance. Jaw position. A parrot mouth is an overbite where the upper jaw extends further out than the lower jaw. This can affect the horse's ability to graze. Parrot mouth is common and can be managed with regular teeth floating by a veterinarian. A monkey mouth, sow mouth, or bulldog mouth is an underbite where the lower jaw extends further out than the upper jaw. This is less common than parrot mouth. This can affect the horse's ability to graze. Monkey mouth is common and can be managed with regular teeth floating by a veterinarian. Ears should be proportional to the head. They should be set just below the level of the poll at the top of the head. Ears should be a position where they can be rotated forward and backward. Ears that are too large or too small may make the head seem too small or large in proportion with the body. Neck length and position. A neck of ideal length is about 1/3 of the horse's length measured from poll to withers, with a length comparable to the length of the legs. An ideally placed neck is called a horizontal neck. It is set on the chest, neither too high nor too low, with its weight and balance aligned with the forward movement of the body. The horse is easy to supple, develop strength, and control with hand and legs aids. Although relatively uncommon, it is usually seen in thoroughbreds, American quarter horses, and some warm bloods. Horizontal neck is advantageous to every sport, as the neck is flexible and works well for balancing. A short neck is one that is less than 1/3 the length of the horse. Short necks are common and found in any breed. A short neck hinders the balancing ability of the horse, making it more prone to stumbling and clumsiness. A short neck also adds more weight on the forehand, reducing agility. A short, thick, and beefy neck with short upper curve is called the bull neck. The attachment to its body is beneath the halfway point down the length of shoulder. Bull neck is fairly common, especially in draft breeds, quarter horses, and Morgans. Bull neck makes it more difficult to maintain balance if the rider is large and heavy or out of balance, which causes the horse to fall onto its forehand. Without a rider, the horse usually balances well. A bull neck is desirable for draft or carriage horses, so as to provide comfort for the neck collar. The muscles of the neck also generate pulling power. A horse with bull neck is best for non-speed sports. Bull neck is not considered a deformity. A long neck is one that is more than 1/3 the length of the horse. Long necks are common, especially in thoroughbreds, saddlebreds, and gaited horses. A long neck may hinder the balancing ability of the horse, and the horse may fatigue more quickly as a result of the greater weight on its front end. The muscles of a long neck are more difficult to develop in size and strength. A long neck needs broad withers to support its weight. It is easier for a long-necked horse to fall into the bend of an S-curve than to come through the bridle, which causes the horse to fall onto its inside shoulder. This makes it difficult for the rider to straighten. A horse with this trait is best used for jumping, speed sports without quick changes of direction, or for straight-line riding such as trail riding. Neck arch and musculature. A neck with an ideal arch is called an arched neck, a turned-over neck. The crest is convex or arch with proportional development of all muscles. The line of the neck flows into that of the back, making for a good appearance and an efficient lever for maneuvering. The strength of the neck with proportional development of all muscles improves the swing of shoulder, elevates the shoulder and body, and aids the horse in engaging its hindquarters through activation of the back. An arched neck is desirable in a horse for any sport. A U-neck or upside-down neck bends upward instead of down in the normal arch. This fault is common and seen in any breed, especially in long-necked horses but mainly in the Arabian horse and thoroughbred. The fault may be caused by a horse who holds his neck high. Stargazing makes it difficult for a rider to control a horse, who then braces on the bit and is hard-mouthed. A U-neck is counterproductive to collection and proper transitions, as the horse only elevates its head and doesn't engage its hind end. The horse's loins and back may become sore. The sunken crest often fills if the horse is ridden correctly into its bridle. However, the horse's performance will be limited until proper muscling is developed. A swan neck is set at a high upward angle, with the upper curve arched, yet a dip remains in front of the withers and the muscles bulge on the underside. This is common, especially in saddlebreds, gaited horses, and thoroughbreds. A swan neck makes it easy for a horse to lean on the bit and curl behind without lifting its back. It is often caused by incorrect work or false collection. A knife neck is a long, skinny neck with poor muscular development on both the top and bottom. It has the appearance of a straight crest without much substance below. A knife neck is relatively common in older horses of any breed. It is sometimes seen in young, green horses. It is usually associated with poor development of back, neck, abdominal, and haunch muscles, allowing a horse to go in a strung-out frame with no collection and on its forehand. It is often rider-induced, and usually indicates lack of athletic ability. Knife neck can be improved through skillful riding and the careful use of side reins to develop more muscle and stability. A knife-necked horse is best used for light pleasure riding until its strength is developed. Crest. Large crests are relatively uncommon but can be found in any breed. It is most often seen in stallions, ponies, and draft breeds. There may be a link to the animal being an easy keeper. An excessively large crest puts more weight on the forehand. A large crest is usually caused by large fat deposits above the nuchal ligament. An excessive crest due to obesity or insulin resistance can be treated with a reduced diet. Conformation of the shoulder, forearm, and chest. The shoulder straight, upright, or vertical shoulder. The shoulder blade, measured from the top of the withers to the point of shoulder, lies in an upright position, particularly as it follows the scapular spine. Often accompanies low withers. Upright shoulders are common and seen in any breed. An upright shoulder affects all sports. The horse has shorter muscular attachments that thus have less ability to contract and lengthen. This shortens the stride length, which requires the horse to take more steps to cover ground, and thus causes a greater risk of injury to structures of front legs and hastened muscular fatigue. An upright shoulder makes a rough, inelastic ride due to the high knee action. It increases concussion on front limbs, possibly promoting the development of degenerative disease in hard-working horses. The stress of impact tends to stiffen the muscles of the shoulder, making the horse less supple with a reduced range of motion needed for long stride reach. An upright shoulder causes the shoulder joint to be open and set low over a short, steep arm bone, making it difficult for a horse to elevate its shoulders and fold its angles tightly, which is needed for good jumping or in cutting. A horse with an upright shoulder usually does not have good form over fences. The horse is usually easier to accelerate in sprinting. An upright shoulder is best for gaited or park showing, parade horses, and activities requiring a quick burst of speed, like roping or quarter horse racing. Laid back, a sloping shoulder. The horse has an oblique angle of shoulder with the withers set well behind the elbow, often accompanies a deep chest and high withers. A sloping shoulder is common. It mostly affects jumping, racing, cutting, reining, polo, eventing, and dressage. The horse has a long shoulder blade to which attached muscles effectively contract and so increase the extension and efficiency of stride. It distributes muscular attachments of the shoulder to the body over a large area, decreasing jar and preventing stiffening of the shoulders with impact. The horse has an elasticity and free swing of its shoulder, enabling extension of stride that is needed in dressage and jumping. A long stride contributes to stamina and assists in maintaining speed. The longer the bones of the shoulder blade and arm, the easier it is to fold legs and tuck over fences. The laid-back scapula slides back to the horizontal as the horse lifts its front legs, increasing the horse's scope over fences. A sloping shoulder has better shock absorption and provides a comfortable ride because it sets the withers back, so a rider is not over the front legs. A sloping shoulder is most advantageous for jumping, dressage, eventing, cutting, polo, driving, racing, and endurance. The humerus. The arm bone is from the point of shoulder to the elbow. It is covered in heavy muscle and serves as a leverage point for the muscle of the front leg attached near the elbow. Ideal. The humerus should be very strong and shorter than the length of the shoulder, has many points of connections for muscle. It should connect with the shoulder in a ball and socket joint. This is the only joint in the front limb that is capable of side-to-side movement. The length can be determined by looking at the point of shoulder to the point of elbow. Conformation of the ideal humerus. The angle of the shoulder blade and upper arm should be between 100 to 120 degrees. Instead of trying to visualize where the bones of the arm and shoulder are to get the above angle measured, the judge could use the angle between then point of shoulder and the humerus, which should be at the angle of around 85 degrees. Long, well-sloped shoulder and short upright humerus. The humerus is a desirable length when it is 50 to 60% the length of the shoulder. Faults: too long humerus. The humerus is considered too long when it is more than 60% the length of the scapula. When this fault occurs, then the shoulder muscles become overstretched, and movement of the forearm is decreased. Because movement is constricted, then the horse is more likely to be clumsy. Too long equals too horizontal, which leads to the horse standing under himself. Note: standing under simply means that the horse's legs are too far under his body and his chest sticks out. Short humerus. The humerus is considered too short when it is less than 50% the length of the shoulder. Humerus is usually in a horizontal position, which closes the shoulder angle to less than 90 degrees. With a short arm bone, the horse will look like he has no chest at all and his legs will stick out too far in front of his body. Common, usually seen in quarter horses, pains, and warm bloods. A short humerus decreases the scope of a horse and contributes to a short, choppy stride. A short stride increases the impact stress on front legs, especially the feet. The rider is jarred and the horse absorbs a lot of concussion. More steps needed to cover ground, increasing the chance of front-end lameness. The horse tends to be less able to do lateral movements. Note: that is, the shoulder is too angled, then the horse's front legs will be stilted and stiff. The elbow, the highest point in the front leg, not covered in muscle. The part of the ulna that protrudes back to form the elbow, known as the olecranon process. Range of motion in the elbow is 55 to 60 degrees. Conformation should not turn out or in and should sit squarely on the forearm. The olecranon process should be viewed in a vertical position from the rear. The elbow should be in line with the front of the withers and not farther back than the peak of the withers. Should blend in smoothly with the muscles of the forearm. Possible faults: turned in, tied in elbow. Elbows are too close to the body and twist the leg. This conformation will make the horse toe out. They tend to wing in when the knee is flexed. The feet may cross over, and they could stumble as a result. This also tends to be accompanied with a narrow chest. There is also restricted movement, and this results in a shorter stride. Out-turned elbow, usually associated with base narrow and pigeon-toed conformation. The legs are too wide at the chest and too close at the feet. This makes the horse paddle out when they flex the knee. The forearm connects the elbow and knee. Conformation should be in perfect line with the knee and cannon. Needs to be thick, wide, well developed and long. Fused with the ulna. Minimal fat muscles should be visible. The muscles of the front of the forearm are known as extensors and the back of the forearm are known as flexors. The muscling of the forearm should be not bulky unless the breed is known for this, i.e. quarter horses and more so in the draft breeds. There should be an inverted V at the top of the chest. Long forearm. A long forearm is desirable, especially if the horse also has a short cannon. It increases leverage for maximum stride length and speed. Good muscling of a long forearm is especially advantageous to jumping horses, as the strong forearm muscles absorb concussion from the impact and diffuse the strain on tendons and joints on landing. A long forearm is best for speed events, jumping events, and long-distance trail riding. Short forearm. Although uncommon, it is usually seen in Morgans and quarter horses. A short forearm affects speed and jumping events, but has little effect on stock horse events. The length of stride is dependent on the forearm length and shoulder angle. So a short forearm causes horse to need to increase the number of steps to cover a distance, increasing overall muscular effort and hastening fatigue. Increases the action of the knees, giving an animated appearance. Knee action is not compatible with speed. The chest. The shape of the horse's chest plays a significant role in his level of endurance and stamina. A horse that will do slow, steady work might not be hampered by chest conformation that limits lung capacity, but any other horse that will do work requiring speed, power, or endurance needs as much room as possible for maximum lung expansion. The horse's ribs form the outer surface of the chest and define the appearance of the horse's midsection or barrel, the area between the front legs and hindquarters. Conformation. A horse's chest is measured from the bottom end of the neck to the tops of the front legs. Ribs play an important role in the shape of the chest, whether they are narrow or wide. The overall shape of a horse's chest plays a key role in the front leg movement. The horse's chest should be well defined and not blend into the neck. Width of the chest is measured from shoulder to shoulder at the points of shoulders. Chest should be wide, with relatively wide gap between the front legs, but not too wide, as this may cause the horse to have decreased speed and agility. Chest shape. When viewing the chest from the front, the chest should be wider at the bottom than at the top. The shoulder blades should be much closer together at the tops, toward the withers, than at the points of shoulders where the front legs attach. Most important thing to remember, the chest width allows for lung expansion and determines agility. Well-sprung ribs. Ribs that have a greater degree of curvature have the greater spring of rib. A horse with a well-rounded rib is usually more endurance type. Slab-sided ribs. Flat, short and upright rather than sloping backward. Ribs go straight down instead of outward and back, limiting room for lung expansion. Horses with slab-sided ribs tend to have less developed abdominal muscles and less stamina. Also a longer, weaker loin and cannot carry as much weight. barrel chest and deep chest. Most horsemen prefer deep, wide chest over the barrel chest, as his length of leg tends to be greater than his depth of chest. Although a horse with a barrel chest that has proper proportions can provide just as much lung room as a deep chest, barrel chest horses tend to have good stamina. Chest faults: narrow chest, too narrow in front with a narrow breast, and not enough room between his front shoulders. Narrow-chested horses have a harder time carrying a rider's weight. With a too narrow chest, the forelegs may be too close together, or may angle out to be base-wide. Too wide chest, too wide ribs hinder the backward sweep of the upper arm, also spreads riders' legs apart uncomfortably and apply stress to the rider's knees. Too wide chest cuts down on speed and agility. Narrow breast with the horse standing square. The width between the front legs is relatively narrow. However, this can be skewed by how far apart feet are placed at rest. A narrow breast often represents general thickness and development of shoulder. A narrow breast is usually seen in gaited horses, saddlebreds, Paso Finos, and Tennessee Walkers. A horse's ability to carry weight is dependent on the size of its chest. So a horse that doesn't do well with draft work may be fine in harness or with a light rider. Narrowness may be from turned-in elbows, which can cause toes to turn out, making the horse appear narrow. Narrowness in the chest may be from immaturity, poor body condition, inadequate nutrition, or underdeveloped breast muscles from a long time in pasture and lack of consistent work. The horse usually has undeveloped shoulder and neck muscles. The horse may tend to plait, and is more likely to interfere, especially at the trot. The horse is best for pleasure riding, driving in harness, and trail riding. Pigeon-breasted: the front legs come too far back under the body, giving a bulky appearance to the breast as viewed from the side. The front legs lie behind a line drawn from the withers to the ground, setting the horse under himself. It is often associated with a long shoulder blade that drops the point of shoulder somewhat low with the arm bone relatively horizontal, setting the elbow more to the rear. A relatively uncommon fault, mostly seen in quarter horses with big, bulky muscles. Bulky breast muscles and legs set under the body decrease the efficiency of stride and swing of shoulders, thus hastening fatigue. It may interfere with the front legs, forcing them to move to the side rather than directly under horse. Causes a rolling gait that slows the horse's speed, especially at the gallop. Should have little interfering in the sprinting sports that need rapid acceleration. The inverted V of the pectorals are important for quick turns, dodges, and spins needed by stock horses. This conformation quality is most useful in quarter horse racing, barrel racing, roping, and stock horse sports where a low front end crouches and the horse makes quick turns.